Okay, now we're going to talk about calculating intervals for one of the worksheets, but also calculating intervals below a given note is a little bit trickier than calculating above. Just as a quick review, if you want to calculate above, let's say you are asked what is a major sixth, or let's say a minor sixth above C. Well, the first thing that you need to do is figure out what is a major sixth above C. Major sixth above C is going to be the sixth note of the C major scale. So pretend you're in the key of C, even if you're not, for a second. And what's the sixth note of the C major scale? The answer is A. So A is a major sixth above C. But we need a minor sixth, is the question that we've asked here. A minor sixth above C, you take a major one and you make it a half step smaller. And the one we're changing here is the upper note, so that A is going to come down to A flat. C to A flat is a minor sixth. Now if we look over here, if the same question is on B flat, let's say minor sixth on B flat, then we need to know what is the sixth note of the B flat major scale. We pretend we're in B flat to figure out the sixth note, which is the major sixth, which is G. If you know your B flat scale, this should be a piece of cake by now. B flat to G is a major sixth, but if we want a minor sixth, then we need to alter that by, again, making it smaller. Lowering the top note makes it smaller. B flat to G flat is a minor sixth. Now, if you ask the same question about these two notes, but you ask it below, what is a minor sixth below a C? Well, now you can't as easily pretend that you're in the key of C and figure it out, because counting down, the bottom note in this interval is going to be a different note that you don't know, so you can't pretend you're in that bottom note, in the key of that bottom note, or thinking the scale of that bottom note. So what you need to do is invert the interval. If you invert the interval, then you can find it above and just write that note below. I'll show you how that works. In order to invert an interval, and when we're talking about an inversion, we're talking about this. Here is a G and a D and a G. G to D and D to G as two separate intervals that are inversions of each other. G to D, G, A, B, C, D is a fifth, and it's actually a perfect fifth because D is in the G scale. And then if you reset your mind and think in the D scale, go up to G, then this is a perfect fourth because G natural is in the D scale. And D, E, F, G makes it a 4, and the G is in the scale, which makes it the perfect fourth. The one in the scale is going to be perfect if it's 1, 4, 5, or 8. So notice these two intervals, I divided this into two separate intervals, G to D and D to G. They're the same two notes, they're just written one on top of each other, reverse the order. G up to D is a perfect fifth, and D up to G is a perfect fourth. Interesting thing about that is whenever you invert an interval, the numbers are always going to add up to 9, and that's an important thing to keep in mind. If you have a perfect interval, then it stays perfect. So the inversion of a perfect unison will be a perfect octave. The inversion of a perfect fourth will be a perfect fifth, and vice versa on both of those. It's a little bit trickier when you get on this category, or when you move outside of perfect here. Diminished, augmented, major, and minor. For those intervals, the numbers still add up to 9, that part doesn't change. But in addition to adding the numbers up to 9 for the inversion, you also need to reverse the symbol. So major becomes minor, minor becomes major, augmented becomes diminished, and diminished becomes augmented. You just go to the opposite of whichever one it is. So let me give you an example here. If I have G to B, GAB is a third. In the G scale, I have a B natural. So that tells me that G to B third, because it's in the scale, it's a major third. So this one is a major third. If we add up to 9, if we subtract 3 from 9, we get 6. So this other one is going to be 6, or you can count it B, C, D, E, F, G, makes 6. But this, in the key of B, you have a G sharp. So the interval we have found is B to G. It's not B to G sharp is a major third, but we found a half step smaller, B to G sharp. We found B to G. Therefore, this is a minor sixth. And you can see here, major third, minor sixth. Numbers add up to 9, and the symbol switches. Now, the way you use this is if I were to ask you, let's go back to this question, what's a minor sixth below C? Then you will use this, and you will find the other interval, the inverted interval above the C. So let's say I'm looking for a minor sixth below the C. The note I'm going to find using my same system of finding an interval above the C is I'm going to find a major third above C. A major third above C is E. So if I take that E and I write it down at the bottom, then this interval is going to be a minor sixth. Again, I found the inversion of the interval above, and then I wrote that note E. Instead of writing the E above here, I just went down to the first E below the given note and wrote it there. And now I have a minor sixth below by finding a major third above. They're always going to be the same note. If we go back to our original example here, a major third below is the same as a minor sixth above. And that's the way these inverted intervals work.